Love this podcast? Support it and sponsor today. Simply head to ozcastnetwork.com for details.
Welcome back to the show. My name's Simon Tackler. Joining me is my co-host, Neil Walters. Neil, how's it going?
Still in box.
Still in box.
Still in box. I haven't moved. I've just been here waiting to do this podcast and just watching wrestling on TV. So that's about as productive as my life is at the moment.
Well, there's been plenty of wrestling over the week, and there's more wrestling coming up from the WWE. Of course, they just had Takeover in your house. Coming up ahead is WWE Backlash. I think they're going to be two very different shows. Of course, we've got the greatest wrestling match of all time to look forward to at Backlash. And before we preview Backlash and review In Your House, we've got a very special guest joining us on the show. Ric Flair, the one and only Nature Boy, took part in a Q&A, and thanks to WWE Australia, we got to take part in that. So we'll take you to our chat right now with the man, with Ric Flair. WWE Backlash is coming up, and at the show, we're going to see the main event, Edge versus Randy Orton, the greatest wrestling match of all time. Someone who knows a thing or two about having the greatest wrestling matches of all time is the Nature Boy, Ric Flair, the 16-time world champion, who's got some history with both men. Of course, he wrestled Edge in a ladder match, which no one would have expected. And of course, with Randy Orton, the history in Evolution. Ric Flair joins us now. First question, got to ask though, rewinding it all the way back to the early 2000s, what was your first impression of Randy Orton, and could you see the potential in the early days?
Well, you could tell Randy was a star the day you met him in terms of physical gifts. And, you know, Randy's got that look that comes along once in a lifetime. You know, incredibly handsome, great physique, natural arrogance. I mean, it's, you know, it's who he is. It's who he's meant to be. I mean, and he's been that same person, you know, since the day he came. I mean, you could see right away that he was going to be a star. And he brought an extremely high level of athleticism, you know, 6'4", 250, you know, $1 million look. It just, he had money written all over him.
And Rick, as we've said in the start, is you had an epic match with Edge in the ladder match. What are your thoughts on Edge and memories of working with him?
Well, I've always thought Edge and Christian were a great team. I did see Edge, you know, breaking off sooner or later, just because he seemed to be, you know, you can. And this is not a slight to Christian at all. But, you know, when you've been in the business as long as I have, you can tell when someone is it's kind of like, and I don't compare it to because there was such a drastic difference, and there wasn't with Christian, but it's kind of like when Shawn Michaels did. They said, you know, Shawn, we see something in you, and, you know, but it doesn't include Marty. And, you know, and look where Shawn went, and the same applied to Edge. He didn't need to be in a tag match scenario. He needed to be a featured star, which he was. And God, I had the privilege of working with him, you know, way at the end of my career. I mean, I had a ladder. He had a match with a ladder that I was in. Does that make sense? And, you know, I'll never forget that. I was like 56 years old or 58. And they called me to be in a ladder match. I said, "You got to be kidding me!" And I just told Edge, I said, "You know, you can do anything you want to me, but I can't do anything to you because I don't want to hurt you. I don't want to kill you. So if you're going to have me push you off the ladder, put the ladder where you want it to be, because I have no idea where to put it." You know what I mean? And I'd rather just take the bumps and then. You know, we'll figure it out after that. But he's such a class guy. I mean, he just oozes the class. And Beth and he are just a tremendous couple, both of them. And so happy to see them, you know, enjoying all this. Beth working with NXT At the same time, Randy Orton has matured and become, this state-of-the-art performer. He doesn't. He has his own persona within himself. And to me, and I tell him this all the time, when Randy feels like it, he is the best there is. And lately, if you've been watching his interviews, he feels like it, because his interviews have been on fire. Monday Night, classic example. They both, their interviews have been fantastic. I like the way they're building this, and I think Edge will die before he lets anybody down. But I still got to go with Randy.
And in saying all that about the two men in the match, if you had to pick your prediction, Ric Flair's pick for the greatest wrestling match of all time, who you got?
I like Randy. I think merely for the reason that Adam Edge has been off almost 9 years, or right at 9 years, and I think it's increasingly difficult, our sport as it is any other sport, but especially ours, because there's so much timing and conditioning, and it just is different. Running on a treadmill doesn't prepare you for wrestling 30 minutes in the ring, and your body doesn't get hard from practicing. It's the everyday use, and there's a saying in our business that time off is your worst enemy. So until I feel like Edge is fully tested physically, which, believe me, Orton will be all over him. I think Randy is going to win the match for a number of reasons. It could be from physical issues to fatigue. There's just a lot of pressure. Where I think for Randy, it's going to work, because he's been so successful for so long, and it's for Edge. It's trying to come back and get back in that position that you were in at the highest level when you were forced to leave due to your neck injury.
And Rick, you've had some of the greatest matches of all time in WWE and WCW. So who do you think has brought out the best of you in any of those matches?
For me, it was Ricky Steamboat, or it was, Dusty Rhodes or Sting, but we're going back to a different time. But with Steamboat, it was magic. He was the best good guy, and will be in the rest of his career until somebody comes along that I haven't seen. And there's nobody come along except Shawn Michaels when he's working on that side that's as good in the ring as Ricky Steamboat. Nobody, not even close. And I'll put that up. You can write that down in capital letters. Good versus evil. Tear right down the middle. And that's what people like. And that's just what they are. So, I don't care how they try to infer that the business or anything different. It's always going to be what's going to put money in the ring. It's like when Brock is out there, he's a badass. When my daughter's out there, there's the best example. She is so definitively the best female wrestler of all time, whether it's because she's 5'10" and 150 pounds, collegiate, just name it. So many reasons why she is so dominant. And she's Brock. She's the feminine version of Brock Lesnar. She's that dominant. And, the same right now would apply for Randy Orton. So for Edge, going back to Edge, Edge was great. Can he get back and be ready for that? I hope he can, but you're asking me again to give my opinion, and I'm going to go with Randy, because Randy has never had the time off, and he's not trying to get back where he was. He's going to stay, is my prediction, where he is, and that's on top right now.
There you go. Very special thanks again to WWE Australia for hooking us up with the audio, with the chat, with the Nature Boy Ric Flair. getting his picks and thoughts on the Backlash main event. Looking back, though, we've got to take a look at In Your House, NXT Takeover. This was a fun show. It was a very different style of takeover. We'll just go through the card with all our thoughts, kicking it off with the first match, the 6-person tag. Neil, thoughts on that one?
I think I was pretty spot on with, I had to look back at the prediction. I think I got all of them right except for the main event. So I was, I pretty much agreed with everything they did on this whole card. The tag match was great. I think we said it could be a show stealer. I don't think it was up to that kind of level, but it was definitely entertaining. Miriam just continues to impress. She's brilliant. I'd love to see her versus Shirai pretty soon for the title, which would be extremely interesting. I thought it was a banger to kick off the card.
Yeah, and what's interesting, Io Shirai isn't really a face or a heel in the traditional sense. So it almost feels like anyone in this match could be a challenger. And maybe that's for the best because you've got 6 people here who could just go into that spot, main event a takeover or an episode of NXT for women's title defense could be good.
Yeah, definitely. I think Candice LeRae was looking to go after her maybe. So it's, any of those could be interesting. I'd love to see a War Games kind of match with everyone involved, those 6, plus Shirai, maybe Ripley or something like that, because it'd just be interesting as hell. So, I'm keen to see what happens next with all of these ladies involved in that match.
Yeah, I think that's something that's definitely going to stick around. I don't think the women's war game was a one-off. I think we'll see that again this year.
Oh, I think the second War Games, you need a crowd, 100%. There's 0 point in War Games.
You need somewhere bigger than the Performance Center as well. Can you put 2 rings in there? Back to back?
No way. They even just with also how stoked are you that they actually did do the house? They brought the house back. Yeah,
they had the house. It took up so much of the stage as well. I thought that was funny, and they barely had a walkway. And they brought back Todd Pettingill, who did a great job throughout the show. You always forget how good some of those guys were. We make fun of them.
The old school commercials were so ridiculous, and I loved them. I just thought that was so good. Just having wrestlers come in and just act corny as hell. It was so good.
Yeah, we were saying last week, we love all that gimmicky stuff. Bring it back. It works, Do it for real. I want to see Adam Cole do a legit ad in the middle of a show for a, supplement. Just why not? It's good. It's good stuff.
Yeah. Especially bringing back old. I love the idea of bringing back old sets too. Imagine if they brought back the Backlash with the swinging, pendulum things they had. That would be so sick.
Surely they've got them in storage. Bring it back.
They don't just get rid of that stuff. I think that warehouse is full of this kind of shit. Is for SmackDown now, just bring back the big fist and put it in the Performance Center. That'd be awesome. This is the time you can deck out the Performance Center with all these weird and wonderful things.
Yeah, well, I don't know. Like we've said, though, hopefully some of these things they've been forced to do during the lockdown, they carry over into the real shows. Give us throwback shows, give us fun sets, give us weird movie matches, give us fake ads. Just bring the shows to life. In a weird way, the lockdown has forced them to inject something different into the programming. I like it.
We love weird.
Yeah. Next up, a match that could have been totally weird, but ended up being, for me, maybe my favorite match. It was just a straight up wrestling match. Finn Balor and Damian Priest. This was really good.
Both of them just proved how, we already knew it, but both of them proved how good they really are. Just straight up technical wrestling without any gimmicks or anything needed, really. I think if Balor had come out as a demon here, it would have ruined it. And it wasn't necessary. Priest could then, I could see them going again with this. There's no way you have something this good and then just go, okay, that's it for these two. I'd love to see this keep going for a little while, and maybe Priest does summon the demon because that's part of his kind of thing. And that would as a secondary thing, that would be great now. But just seeing how good these two did just as a straight wrestling match was brilliant.
Yeah, Priest is a weird one. He's a guy who, like, when he was on the Indies, you'd hear about him, Punishment Martinez, you'd see him wrestle, you'd be like, oh, this guy's pretty good. He's one of those guys who, like we said, he seems to fit better in the WWE system or whatever, And, like, this match was good. I could see him on Raw, SmackDown, like, main eventing pretty quick. Why wouldn't he?
Yeah.
And, of course, Finn Balor being, like, rehabbed in a way on NXT, just becoming invincible, even as the real guy. I think that's important too. Yeah, that he doesn't need to be the demon. He can just be Finn and kill you. Like, he just turns it on and goes nuts.
And what's the point of bringing the demon back at the moment, really, at all? I think it's a crowd thing. The matches don't go for long. It's a big gimmick that crowds just kind of respond to. So without a crowd, I don't think we'll see the demon back anytime soon at all.
Yeah, I don't need to see the Performance Center trainees doing the thing. Like, it's cool. He can relax for now. Then up next, a similar match in that it was, big man, little man, but done in a very different style. This was a little bit more over the top, a little bit longer. Johnny Gargano, Keith Lee for the North American Championship. This was pretty good. I actually preferred Finn and Priest for whatever reason.
Oh, I think I preferred Finn and Priest simply because it went Keith Lee and Gargano's match went for a little bit too long, I think. I thought it was good, but they got 20 minutes. And 20 minutes is a long time on a short pay-per-view. They got longer than the main event, which is a triple threat match. So that kind of says a lot.
But it's a Johnny Gargano match. He's almost set us up to, it's going to go
they always go for
an hour. Yeah.
But the two spots, we finally got the hockey hit through the plexiglass. That was huge.
That was good. It was bound to happen.
It was obviously very set up, but oh my God, like what a hit it was. And that, as a Rangers fan, that made me pop. And then the security doorbell.
Yeah.
Like on the front door, how Gargano's trying to knock on the door, even though you could just go around.
Yeah, and he had the key. I thought he had the key when it was very weird.
But he's trying to get through a door that just goes to backstage, and the shed just goes to backstage.
Yeah, well, that was the house that he cut those promos on. I think that's where they were going with it. It was very weird. He lives in your house.
Yeah, I thought it was great. Keith Lee just looked massive. But Gargano, he made him look it made Johnny look really good.
There was a lot of good stuff in this match. It was very good. It was just, for what it was, I don't know, it did feel a little bit long, but hey.
20 minutes.
Johnny Gargano's going to do that. Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think of him as a bad guy? I've read a lot of feedback, and now people are sort of not on board with it. They're like, I don't buy him as a bad guy.
No, I don't either. You look at someone that makes a transition from good to bad. Look at Finn Balor. Perfect transition.
Yeah.
Because he changes everything about him. With Johnny, he didn't change as much. He's just a bit of a prick to everybody.
Yeah. He's still kind of a nerd dressing up as characters on his entrance and stuff. It's kind of weird.
And he has the whole please don't hurt me kind of thing, but then does a low blow. It's like, that's not being a bad guy. Like, look how Balor did it, and he just changed his whole demeanor, changed his outfit, changed his entrance, just was really cold to everyone. I don't buy the Johnny thing as a heel. I can't see it sticking around for too long either.
Yeah,
I think he'll go back.
They sort of played with it a while ago. Like, was it last year or the year before when he had a short feud with Aleister Black, but then he became a good guy again. So it feels like it's something they've wanted to try. I guess they're just going to stick with it this time. And, with evil Candice LeRae with him.
Yeah. She's just, it's the same kind of thing. She's not a bad guy. She's just a bit of a bitch to everybody that kind of comes in the ring with her, which is, cool and everything, but that's not a heel. A heel is someone you want to hate, not someone who just annoys you.
Mildly irritating, like an annoying neighbor. That's who they are. Like, they're bloody cutting promos loudly again. Tell them to shut up.
Annoying neighbor. We'll call the police on our heels.
Yeah, exactly. Doing dramatic things in their house. Up next, a match that I actually thought this was going to be the main event. I didn't realize the triple threat was going on last, but it was the NXT Championship. Adam Cole, Velveteen Dream in the backlot brawl. I don't know. This was sort of maybe this was the weakest cinematic match. for some reason, it was all right. It was you could watch it. It was entertaining.
Look, that's what our main kind of talking point was last week. We said that do these cinematic matches until you find what doesn't work. I think the way this was filmed was kind of weird too. Like it was obviously pre-taped, but there was a lot of sections which made it look like they didn't really stop and the camera angles didn't know where to go. There was like parts where they were filming kind of nothing, and then it was all like maybe that was the whole point of making it look like it was kind of just really guerrilla kind of filming to it. But for me, a lot of it didn't work. Like there was a whole section where Adam Cole was lit up, but then there was no lights at all on Dream, and he kind of just, and even the commentators were like, "Oh, it's incredibly dark here. You can't really see him." And it's like he didn't like pop out of nowhere or anything. It was just there was a camera on him, but no lights.
Yeah.
And like if you're gonna do cinematic, it has to look good the whole time. Like you look at the Boneyard match, and at all times you can tell every shot was really thought out. And this match didn't feel thought out. It felt thrown together in very last minute, and them going, well, this is just going to be a backlot brawl, whatever.
We'll just wander around
some of the
and
spots
punch
just
each
really
other.
didn't work.
Yeah, and this isn't just you being a picky Mark who's talking out of turn. This is you talking as a cinematographer and an expert.
Yeah.
Just so people don't think, ooh, what's this guy know about lighting? Like, yeah.
Yeah. It's every shot, if you're going to do something cinematic, which is you can pause and you can redo things, it has to make me believe that it's in one go. This whole thing, you could even tell, you go, there was a stop there. Or the lights weren't right there, and so yeah, it felt a little bit, I felt a little bit incomplete.
Yeah, and I gotta say, like we mentioned last week, they sort of teased Velveteen Dream talking into the mirror and like summoning the ghost of Prince, and like they were leaning into that side of his personality. But then he came out cosplaying as Negan from The Walking Dead, which was so I know Velveteen Dream dresses up as characters, you know, at the takeovers, but that one was so weird. Yeah,
it didn't make any sense. And if you're gonna do a Walking Dead character, like you come out with a baseball bat with nails in it, or like light it on fire, or
it does have nails in it in the show. He could have wrapped it in barbed wire or something.
Yeah, put nails in it. You're not going to hit him with it. They don't have to be real nails. Like
I don't think he even used the bat.
No, like I think he went to use it once, but there was nothing to it. So yeah, I thought it was pretty disappointing. But you know, NXT, I think this might be their first cinematic match.
Well, they kind of did the one with Gargano and Ciampa, the final beat or whatever, which was, I don't know, maybe these don't work in NXT because, you know, I didn't love that one because that one although to be fair, they tried something completely different. You know, it went a whole hour. It was in that warehouse and, you know, they took a punt. It was like Gargano and Ciampa, no crowd, an hour in a room with a ring. But yeah, I don't know. I think they're trying to get too gritty with these NXT ones. Yeah. They're not getting as silly and maybe that's working against them. You can't just have a dark lit parking lot.
Exactly. And you've got to look at how cinematic matches in WWE work so well, because the thing that WWE does so well is storytelling. The storytelling is always there. It's not always even about the wrestling. But with NXT, it's about the wrestling and storylines come secondary. So, because you could watch a takeover and you could just start watching it without knowing what any of the backstory is and you'd have a good time. But with like Backlash, for example, you need to know why Edge and Randy Orton hate each other here. So it's just, I think a cinematic match needs a really good story behind it, and you need to be able to tell that within the story. And I didn't get that at all from Cole and Dream in this one.
Yeah, and also Cole just winning and Dream not getting another title match against Cole. That's kind of, I think we sort of predicted that, but we'll see where they go with Cole. I think they dropped some hints this week on NXT. It looks like Dream is just going to, you know, take a break from the main events again and do something else.
Yeah, it's kind of weird.
He might team up with Dexter Lumis and maybe feud with the other guys from Undisputed Era, which could be fun.
Yeah, Yeah, Dexter's character's so weird that he's just playing Dexter. Like he's just playing the TV show Dexter.
Yeah, and I think Moro dropped a hint of that.
show.
Like he made a reference to the show. And it's like he can't do that. Yeah, it's kind of weird.
You're not allowed to play. You're not allowed to be a character playing another character on a TV show. Doesn't work like that.
You can, just don't reference it. That makes it weirder. That would be like if when Hulk Hogan was hulking up, the commentator was like, just like Bruce Banner, he's hulking up. It's like, well, now you're just telling us he's ripping it off. We get it. Don't say that.
Yeah.
But yeah, he pretty much said, Dexter is Dexter.
Yeah. He's like, he's putting him in the trunk, like on the TV show. It's like, what?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I kind of like what he does with it. And I think him and Dream being friends could be fun. You know, if they want to get really weird with it, I think this is their chance.
Well, Dream's at his best when he's at his weirdest. So
yeah,
I'd like to see it.
Yeah, they can push the boundaries there. But I think the next match was a hint at where they could be going with Adam Cole in the future and the main event scene. It's something I called for when he debuted. Karrion Kross, Tommaso Ciampa. Karrion Kross just wrecked him. Not as quickly as we predicted, but it was basically a squash match.
Well, the shortest match of the night by 4 minutes, I think it was roughly, and that was like, it was a 6-minute match, and on a card where the second match on that is nearly 10 minutes. I'd nearly call this a squash match. Yeah, Kross just looks huge, absolutely huge. If he's not the next one up for Cole, then I don't know what they're doing with him. I could see, Kross winning it, and then maybe Scarlett coming in and winning against Shirai, and then you've got your first kind of tagged up or tag team with both titles on there. That could be really good.
Yeah, I think Gargano and Candice LeRae, hinted that they were going to try and do that. Wasn't that sort of the thing? And then you've got Keith Lee and Mia Yim, and then you'd have Kross and Scarlett. Maybe that's where they're going.
Have a
couple.
Maybe have a big War Games match where the winner gets both titles.
And it's all the couples. That would be huge.
Oh.
Yeah.
Or like a triple threat tag team intergendered ladder match for both titles. Oh.
Yeah, that's going.
This is the kind of shit we need to do.
Yeah. I don't know. Well, what can you say about this? It was great. It was what it needed to be. I think Karrion Kross could be the champ, and maybe that's the end of Cole's reign, because my God, it's been a long reign. And Karrion Kross being champ would sort of change NXT. Like the vibe for a while has been, small guy who has these 1 hour long matches. Change it up. Have a guy who's like impossible to beat.
NXT is all heavy metal, like you've got Slipknot as their theme song. It's very like hardcore kind of vibe to it. Have a dude that's clearly looks like he could be the front man of a hardcore band. It just destroys everyone as your main dude for a while. Yeah, we haven't had that for ages. So Aleister Black was the last dude that kind of looked like that in NXT, really. So play this up, get it going. It's the only way to go, really. Yeah, Cole needs to lose a title because it's starting to get old.
Yeah, and there have been rumors about Adam Cole. His contract is up in August. There's been talk. Will he hang around? Will he get called up? Will he stay on NXT, or will he jump to AEW? I think that could just be a bargaining chip. I could go to AEW. Anywhere. Yeah,
there's no way he's going to AEW.
People are saying, his girlfriend's there, Britt Baker, but he's in he's in seemingly good standing. Like Triple H and Shawn Michaels only say amazing things about Adam Cole.
It'd be ridiculous for him to jump ship. I don't think AEW would be able to afford him for starters. He's NXT's main player, and he'd be getting the most money out of anyone on that brand. He's a huge heel, and everybody in the crowd, when there is crowds, just love him. So
where would he fit on Raw, SmackDown though? Drew McIntyre and Braun Strowman are these giant champions. Adam Cole is not a giant man.
I don't think he should. There's no point taking him up to Raw or SmackDown. And NXT is only getting more popular. So what's the point of having him on? Yeah, he'd fit in their like Intercontinental title or US title, and like who wants to go from being NXT champion to like the United States champion? It just doesn't like that's not an up, that's a sideways. So yeah.
I think Cross beating him could finally. Cole's been in NXT for a while. Maybe you swap him. Maybe you let the crowd cheer him. They all cheer Adam Cole anyway. Why don't we see what Cole can do on the other side as a face?
Yeah, why not? As soon as he drops the title, he could go away for a month, come back, and then, maybe he splits with his little group. Yeah. And that's, he could have a feud with, you could have Finn Balor versus Adam Cole. Like that kind of stuff is, could be sick. Like, why don't we just go for that? Or you could have, you could have Keith Lee versus Adam Cole, something like that. Like it's definitely something that's not the title, because it's run its course for sure.
Yeah, there's plenty for him to do. Yeah, I imagine he sticks around in NXT for a while, just like Gargano and Ciampa. They were the main event a while ago. They didn't magically just end up on Raw or SmackDown. I think they teased that, and then they thought, you know what, they're better off, carrying NXT on USA and, every other channel it's on now. Getting to the main event, though, the triple threat for the Women's Championship, Charlotte Flair, Rhea Ripley, Io Shirai. Very good match.
Great match, but who the hell picked this?
Yeah, I didn't think Shirai would win.
I don't think anybody had Shirai down as a winner for this. Like, no way. She just... it was either Flair or Ripley gets it again. It's great. Like, I love it. I think she definitely deserves it. But what do you do with, like, Flair's just gone back to Raw now, it looks like. After Raw this week, it looks like she's just completely bailed on NXT and just gone back to Raw, and now is teaming up with Asuka. Like,
which I guess
incredibly weird.
I feel like with Becky Lynch obviously having to take time off for the pregnancy, that probably took them by surprise. They thought, okay, we're going to have to shift plans here. We'll move Charlotte into that role. Like, it feels like they were going to do the Becky and Asuka team up. Like, this is what that was. Plug Charlotte in there. Charlotte can do it, And it's going to lead to more Asuka and Charlotte, which they always have great matches.
Well, at the moment, they're your two key players, really. Like, it's not anyone else. So why not? Why not play it that way? We've always got that to talk about with Backlash. But I think, Shirai's great, and now she could go on. Her and Ripley could have some matches together, I think. I don't think Ripley's done for the title picture just yet, and getting Charlotte out of the way for that. Maybe it's Ripley versus Shirai one-on-one kind of attitude, or maybe Ripley is done for a while now for the title, and maybe she goes to SmackDown or Raw or somewhere like that. Who knows? Yeah,
but it was a great way to end the show with a just full-on triple threat. We saw Io Shirai jump off the roof of the house. That was cool.
That was a big pop.
Yeah, that was good. And then she had the, massive celebration, because it's felt sort of stop-start with Shirai for a little bit, but now it's like, nah, she's the top of the division and, can main event a show. We're going to get so many good matches there, as we said, with the rest of the women's division. It was a great show, but WWE, it never stops. We've got another, network special coming up, and that's Backlash. I don't know if it's going to reach the heights of TakeOver, but hey, I'm going to keep my hopes up. I'm not going to ride it out off the bat.
Yeah, it has some bangers on there, but it's a lot of singles matches with not a lot of stipulation. Like, it has the opportunity. It has, unfortunately, the opportunity for everything to kind of blend together and feel unnecessary. Like, there are quite a few title matches, but there are a lot of singles matches on there. And you go from In Your House, which just was a few gimmicks, awesome matches into Backlash, which can notoriously feel like a bit of a who knows what could happen. Some of the matches are teamed up to piss a lot of people off. There are some matches on here which, if it goes the wrong way, you go, oh, I'm not watching anymore. It could be really, really weird, which I guess we're going to talk about. Yeah.
Well, we'll get to it. Sheamus versus Jeff Hardy. This one's been added to the card. It's weird. It feels like a retread or a throwback, but honestly, I can't remember them ever having a match on pay-per-view, but it feels like they had.
Well, it probably feels like a retread because they did it like 3 weeks ago on SmackDown, and Hardy actually smashed Sheamus. So I don't see the point of doing this again. Like, I understand the storyline, but if Sheamus beats Hardy here, why and how? If Hardy demolished him multiple times already, why are we just going back for it unless it's going to be a shoddy finish, which that's exactly what I think is going to happen. Sheamus is going to win here somehow. That's not legal. And that'll just set up another match for them, which you're like, I want to see Hardy go on here and take on Edge or someone like that. I don't want to see him stuck with Sheamus for 6 pay-per-views.
That's what we're going to get, though.
Yeah.
I don't know where these guys fit anymore. It almost feels like there needs to be a sort of Legends division.
Yeah.
Because Sheamus and Jeff Hardy, does anyone really want them to fight Braun Strowman? We don't really want to see them go further down the card. Like, they're both good and they're both still really good, but they don't, it just doesn't feel like they fit anymore. So,
no, not at all.
It's kind of a weird one. Then, speaking of the future, though, this is a match that it's good to see on a pay-per-view. For the US title, Apollo Crews versus Andrade.
Huge match. This is another one that has, I really hope they don't do a pre-show, because this is, if they do a pre-show, this is going to be on the pre-show.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, which it's sitting 7th on the card at the moment. So it's not going to open the show. And yeah, it does have that possibility, but I hope they just add another match last minute that goes pre-show. I love that they're giving Crews a chance here. They've given him the title and gone, all right, we'll see what you can do. You've obviously a little bit of traction on the internet at the moment. So let's go. And this has the chance to be a show stealer. We know Andrade is great in every match that he does. So this could have the potential to pop right off.
Yeah, Andrade's awesome. Apollo Crews feels like he's in the spot Buddy Murphy was with the Cruiserweight title, where for those few months in a row, he was having like the best match just sort of underneath or on the pre-show, and then people eventually took notice. Hopefully Apollo Crews can get more traction, because he's a great athlete, and we know, he's always going to have a good match, especially on this stage now, which is nice. We've got the Women's Tag Team Championships. Bayley and Sasha, Nikki Cross and Bliss, and the Iconics. Who's your pick? We just got a title change, though. That's what I'm sus about,
I think the Iconics are going to win it. I really do. I think that they're going to pin Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross or something like that, and this is going to break up Sasha and Bayley. This will be it. Well. It'll cost, like, Bayley or Sasha will cost them the match or something, and I think this is the beginning of the end. They didn't stick these titles on them to hold that. I know there was just a change, but this isn't giving them the titles to hold it for a long period of time. The last time that Bayley and Sasha lost these titles to the Iconics, we lost Sasha Banks for 6 months or whatever else, because she just went, bugger this, I'm over it, I'm going. So why not just do it again?
Yeah, that's true. And this time they can play up on it, because they sort of did that. They turned that into the story as well. They can show,
having Sasha walks away.
Yeah.
So she walks away, and then Bayley comes out and goes, she cost me the match. She cost me the title. She's just walked away like she always does. And that just sets up the feud then for Bayley versus Sasha at whatever pay-per-view's next.
SummerSlam eventually or whatever.
Yeah, you'd think it'd be SummerSlam. It's definitely building to this. But yeah, given the Iconics the belts, I'm all about it, obviously.
Yeah, they're so much fun. Give it back to them. Let them do their thing. And I think if anyone should have been shining in the quarantine era, surely it's the Iconics, because they can just do backstage segments and make fun of people.
Yeah, everything. Look at when they had the titles. Some of the best content that the WWE was putting out was them just bragging about having the titles.
Yeah,
it was so funny. It was so good. Why not give it back to them?
Give them a cinematic match.
Yeah.
Make so it super Aussie gimmicked and really dumb. I think it'll be fun.
Yeah.
That could be good. What else do we have? The Raw Women's Championship, Asuka versus Nia Jax. Surely Asuka just wins.
Now, we need to discuss Nia Jax. So Nia Jax is terrible, right? She continuously injures people, and it's starting to get to the point where you're like, I thought it was a work, but it's not. She's she needs to go back to NXT or something because she's injuring wrestlers. Everything that she's doing, like she came out and cut this promo with Asuka where she was saying that she got gifted the title. She won it in a ladder match.
Yeah.
Like, is she forgetting that she beat like 7 other women and beat everyone else and won it in a ladder match? It's not like someone just gave her the title. She won it. So everything that Nia Jax is coming out and saying is just like, you're an idiot.
But
like,
I think they're playing into that. They're making it, they really want you to hate her.
Yeah, she's a really interesting kind of heel where she is doing a really good job making me hate her. But it's just to the point where you're like, it's a Corbin kind of hate where you're like, I don't like watching you and I'm going to switch off. It's not I don't like watching you. I hope you get beat.
Yeah, I don't know. I enjoy her matches. I know all the criticism, she's hurt people. Well, I'm not a wrestler. I don't know how rough she really is. But her matches are usually, like, especially with someone like Asuka, this will probably be good. You know?
As long as Asuka wins.
Going to win. I think Asuka's going to win and they move on to Charlotte and Asuka.
But then what do you do with Nia Jax after?
Yeah, I don't know. I think Nia Jax will always just be in the role where she pops up every now and then to challenge and not win. Except the one time she won when she was a face. But that was a different story, you know.
I'd like to see Tamina come back and just do Nia Jax, Tamina versus the Iconics or something for the titles, where the Iconics just continuously run around them and don't ever actually give them the match. That is interesting to me.
Yeah, I guess they could do that because weren't Nia and Tamina a team for a little bit? I feel like they always go on and off. Yeah.
Yeah, for that the Elimination Chamber where they were,
that's right.
They were in that, and everybody just tried so hard to beat them. So yeah, I think that's a good setup for Nia Jax because you've got someone else to bounce off and work with. That's not just people just hating you. You're hating a tag team, which is much easier to do.
Yeah, so I wouldn't think too much about this match. I think Asuka wins. She's not going to lose the title that quick.
Hope so.
The Universal title, this is a weird one. 2-on-1. It's Braun Strowman versus Miz and Morrison.
This is just a setup for The Fiend to come back. I can't see this match lasting any more than 10 minutes. The Fiend's coming back. This is very, very obvious. It's what, are you going to have The Miz win the title? Yeah. And then Morrison just, they haven't set it up right. This is just, I'm tipping 6 minutes in, the Fiend comes in. All the puppets start popping up and such. And then, the Fiend comes in and absolutely destroys all 3 of them. And that sets up for SummerSlam versus Braun versus the Fiend, where we finally get the Fiend with his belt back.
I like the idea of the Fiend using this match to get Braun Strowman on side. He helps Braun win and says, I saved you. You know, we're still family. But Braun can say, you know, oh, no, I had the match won. I didn't need your help. And Bray can be like, sure, you didn't.
Yeah. You know? Or I'm tipping just a demolishment of just walking in and just going, flattening everyone, just Sister Abigail's everywhere. So I hope so, because I just, now after what Braun did on that last pay-per-view, I really want to see the Fiend just go full ham at him and just destroy everyone.
Yeah. Either way, I think they're going to tell another good story here, even though it feels weird on paper. I'm expecting something from that one. On the flip side, for the Raw, for the WWE Championship match, Drew McIntyre, Bobby Lashley, I'm expecting a really good match here. If anyone didn't see their matches in Impact, which I imagine is most people because who watched Impact in those years especially, I remember seeing one of them. Drew McIntyre and Lashley had good chemistry, and I think they're going to show it here.
Drew McIntyre, when he respects another big dude, has a great match. He does. His match with Brock was great. Like it's always whenever you put Drew against a small dude who doesn't look like he can take on Drew McIntyre, it feels a little bit weird. So him against Bobby, I think this is a perfect opportunity for Bobby to flex his muscles and look really, really good. I hope there's no Lana coming in and like ruining it for him. I really hope that it's just Drew versus Bobby and Bobby loses. But it's a 20-minute epic kind of match.
Yeah, we might get shenanigans though. I'm expecting MVP and Lana and everyone, but this feels like the next step for Lashley, which is weird to say because he's been around for so long, so many times. But yeah, if there's ever a time to just go full on with Lashley, this is it. And I think he's doing good. I like the master lock or whatever they're calling it. Full Nelson, going old school. He looks very, very scary, as does Drew. So this feels like an old school main event. These two giant, unrealistically huge dudes fighting for the world title, you know.
Drew wins, no doubt. But yeah, I'd love to see this just go all the way.
Yeah. And I know Lashley is still pushing for his match with Lesnar. Hey, if they're doing this with his character, this is how you do it. Establish him as this, you know, freak.
Yeah. Might even see, you know, you could have Brock come back in this kind of atmosphere, but I think Brock said he's not coming back until there's people again.
Yeah, and he's not coming, you know, he lives in Canada. I don't think he's going to travel and cross lines just to show up, you know, one of these shows.
Yeah, I think he shows up at Hell in a Cell or somewhere like that again, where no one expects him to come back.
Yeah. And then I guess surely what's the main event? Edge, Randy Orton, greatest wrestling match ever. I don't know what to think.
I don't know what the hell's going to happen. I'd think Orton, because Edge going 2 for 2 against him doesn't really make any sense. And then you set up a third match at SummerSlam again. You know, yeah, it could go either way. It could be screwy, like the fact that they're calling it the greatest wrestling match over and over again. You're like, well, what happens if it's not? What happens if they have a really, really average match? Obviously, it's pre-tape, so they're going to make it the best wrestling match ever. But I don't see the point in calling it this unless it's a stipulation match or anything to it. I think it's going to go for half an hour at least. I think it's going to be a long match. But yeah, I can't see Edge winning it. Doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, but then the finality of a last man standing and then the greatest match ever, what tops those two things? There will be a third match, but what on earth is more final than those two things?
Ladder match?
Yeah, they used the ladder. They already, they used the ladder, so it makes it hard.
Yeah, do you do a Hell in a Cell match? Like that would be Hell in a Cell you can't do it at SummerSlam because you've got Hell in a Cell pay-per-view.
Hell in a Cell.
Yeah, you can't do a cage match. Like it just doesn't, a no disqualification street fight kind of thing. That's a last man standing match, really. Maybe
they just go 1 for 1 and that's it.
I hope so. What I want Edge to win it, and then that's it. There's no dispute, and then we get Jeff Hardy versus Edge, or what I think was, and I've said this a few times now, Christian versus Edge, because last week on Raw, it kind of set that up a little bit. I could see Christian running in on this match and ruining it, and then you get Edge versus Christian, which would just, I want that so much, because we haven't had that in a very, very long time.
But we know Christian, so we've heard Christian will never be cleared.
Yeah, never be cleared.
Even though Daniel Bryan was.
And Edge was. Like, it's, and by reports, Paige too might be coming back.
Oh, really? I haven't heard that. Okay.
Yeah, well, she was meant to come back at Royal Rumble, apparently. So,
really?
We never know what's going to happen. Who knows? They always rule everyone out until it seems like it's forever isn't a thing in wrestling, really. So, I'd love to see Edge versus Christian down the line, maybe as his last match. That'd be brilliant.
I don't think these guys have the best chemistry with each other, all three of them. Maybe if you blew it off in a triple threat match, I'd argue they could have the best triple threat match in. See, here's the thing. If Christian was in this match and they were billing it as the greatest triple threat match of all time, I'd believe it, because those three guys, for some reason, work so well with each other in a triple threat. I feel like it would click.
You put Jeff Hardy in there and do the greatest fatal four-way ever. Like, that would be so sick. Imagine like Christian versus Edge versus Orton versus Hardy.
Yeah, they've all got history.
Four of the best names ever.
Yeah, I don't know. This is a weird one. I'm interested to see what they do.
My head says Orton, but my heart says Edge. So I hope it's Edge so we can just stop it.
I'm happy to see Edge in a normal wrestling match, though. Like, if they are legit going to do this as a long match and try and have a good match, I want to see what Edge can still do.
Yeah, and then look, maybe what this is leading to is, say we get Braun versus the Fiend, then do we then look at the Fiend versus Edge? That could be cool.
Move Edge to SmackDown.
The Fiend, because Edge isn't really tied to Raw; he's just on Raw now because of Orton. But imagine the Fiend versus Edge, where the Fiend just starts to pick apart Edge and do some seriously hectic kind of things to him. That could be cool. I wouldn't see
if anyone
McIntyre
could
versus
do
Edge.
that, I feel like Edge could do that with all of his acting experience. I feel like him and the Fiend would do a lot of good stuff.
Yeah, McIntyre versus Edge doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
It could be good. Actually, Edge on SmackDown feels good because he could, do something with AJ finally, something with Daniel Bryan, which never happened. That could be a lot of fun. Edge and Wyatt, as you said, do something with Morrison and Miz. I'm sure that would be entertaining as well. Maybe Edge on SmackDown is the move.
Yeah, I just want to see him do something cool. I don't want to see him just fight Orton for 6 months and then he does nothing until WrestleMania next year. It's such a waste. If you're going to spend so long waiting to come back and then be ripped and in huge shape, do something awesome.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. He's going to have the greatest wrestling match of all time. So
yeah. I'm so scared.
Scared.
I'm genuinely scared. It could be terrible.
I'll stay optimistic. There's got to be some sort of thing we're not expecting.
Yeah.
This might be more cinematic than we think too. They might be adding some bullshit to it.
Oh, there's definitely going to be bullshit, but who knows?
Yeah. Well, you know what? We'll see how bullshit, and we will look back on the bullshit next week and review Backlash, or Backlashly, as a lot of people are rightfully calling it.
Very good. Very good.
They should have done that. You know how the graphic for Edge and Orton is the greatest match ever? For the Lashley match, it should have said Backlashly.
Backlashly, that's what the pay-per-view should be called.
Oh, and he uses the full Nelson, which he comes from behind. The move should be the Backlashly. Yeah. Anyway.
See, we need to be writing for these people.
Yeah. Feel free to take that, Tom Phillips or whoever's commentating. On that note, we're going to get out of here. We're going to look forward to Backlash. And, we'll see how it all unfolds in next week's show. Neil, it's been fun as always.
Love this podcast? Support it and sponsor today. Simply head to AuscastNetwork.com for details.